Hello friends. What happens when the steadfast, grounded heart of a Taurus man meets the dreamy, poetic soul of a Pisces woman? It's a love story that feels like it was written in the stars long before either of them arrived on Earth. This pairing is often described as one of the zodiac's most naturally harmonious connections, a blend of earthy stability and water-like emotional depth. But just like every great romance, it's not without its challenges. Let's explore the intricate layers of their bond, from the first spark to the long-term journey they might share. Chemistry. Initial attraction. From the very first meeting, the connection between a Taurus man and a Pisces woman is like stepping into a room where the air feels charged, as though some invisible force has shifted the molecules around them. It isn't loud or flashy, but it's undeniable, a subtle yet powerful current that makes the space between them hum. A Taurus man, with his composed and grounded demeanor, notices her not in a passing glance but with a kind of deliberate attention, as if her presence demands that his senses slow down and take note. She moves with a softness that isn't about fragility but about fluid grace, the kind of grace that hints at layers of depth beneath the surface. There's something in her eyes. Maybe it's the quiet shimmer of empathy, maybe it's the suggestion of untold dreams, that immediately tugs at something in him he didn't even realize was yearning to be touched. She, in turn, finds herself quietly disarmed by his steadiness. In a world where so many energies feel fleeting, transient, or restless, his is a presence that roots itself like the trunk of an ancient oak, wide and unwavering. It's not just the way he stands or speaks, it's the way his gaze lingers with intention, the way he seems entirely in the moment when she's talking, as though nothing outside their shared space matters. There's a grounded warmth in him, the kind that whispers, "You're safe here," without uttering a word. And for a Pisces woman, whose heart is as sensitive as a seismograph to the tremors of human emotion, this is magnetic beyond explanation. The Taurus man is rarely one to leap headlong into romance. His is an energy of caution, of patience, of taking time to assess not only what he feels but what it means. But Pisces has a way of slipping past those internal checkpoints without force or manipulation. It's as if she exists outside the rules he's set for himself, her kindness and dreamlike charm filtering into his guarded heart like sunlight through leaves, dappling him with warmth before he even notices the light has shifted. By the time he does notice, it's already too late. She's in his thoughts, in his senses, in the quiet moments when he's alone. For her, he becomes almost instantly emblematic of the security she longs for but rarely finds. His reliability, his quiet strength, and his unshakable sense of self become a living reminder that stability doesn't have to mean monotony. His steadiness doesn't box her in, it frees her, because she knows she can explore the farthest edges of her imagination without losing her way back home. In him, she recognizes the anchor that will keep her from drifting too far into her own ocean of feelings and fantasies. When their eyes first meet, it's not merely physical attraction. It's something deeper, like a soul-level acknowledgement that they've been here before in some other time, some other life. His gaze holds hers not in dominance but in recognition, and in that shared stillness, there's a silent conversation neither of them can fully put into words. She sees in him a kind of emotional landscape she's been searching for, a place where her dreams don't feel too heavy to share. He sees in her the softness and emotional richness that he didn't know he was missing but now can't imagine being without. Even before they speak, their bodies betray the attraction. His posture subtly shifts toward her, as though pulled by gravity. Her head tilts just slightly when he talks, a small sign of her interest, and her eyes linger a heartbeat longer than politeness requires. The air between them is threaded with unspoken curiosity, not the sharp, electric jolt of instant infatuation, but the deep, almost old-fashioned allure of wanting to know someone slowly, layer by layer. The Taurus man notices the small, almost imperceptible things, the way her voice softens when she's speaking about something close to her heart, the delicate rhythm of her gestures, the sincerity behind her smile. These details matter to him because they reveal authenticity, and authenticity is the currency that buys his trust. The Pisces woman, for her part, is attuned to the warmth in his laughter, the way his eyes seem to listen as much as his ears do, and the unhurried cadence of his speech, all signs that he's a man who values depth over surface. In those first conversations, there's a balancing act at play without either of them being aware of it. He instinctively offers her grounding, without clipping her wings, while she instinctively offers him emotional expansion without overwhelming his practical nature. There's a mutual respect forming even in these earliest interactions, a sense that they're not here to fix or change each other but to witness and understand. What makes their chemistry so compelling isn't just the compatibility of their traits, but the way those traits awaken dormant qualities in one another. The Taurus man finds himself feeling more poetic, more willing to consider the beauty in uncertainty, while the Pisces woman feels her feet touching firmer ground, allowing her dreams to grow roots. They spark growth in each other simply by existing together in the same emotional and physical space. This early stage is delicate yet potent. It's a time when every glance, every shared laugh, and every brush of the hand carries significance. Their attraction grows not from spectacle but from subtlety, the slow building recognition that this person might not just fit into their life, but enhance it in ways they hadn't anticipated. And so, with every passing moment, they're pulled further into each other's orbits, not by force, but by the natural gravity of two souls that recognize, even without words, that they've found something rare. Emotional dynamics. In matters of the heart, the emotional interplay between a Taurus man and a Pisces woman unfolds like a slow, intricate dance where both partners move to different rhythms but somehow find a shared beat. Pisces, ruled by water, is a creature of feeling, intuition, and empathy. Her emotional world is vast and ever-changing, like an ocean that can be glass-smooth one day and tempestuous the next. She feels everything, not just her own experiences, but the moods, sorrows, and joys of others. Sometimes, these emotions come so intensely and all at once that they overwhelm her, flooding her senses until she needs time to retreat into herself. A Taurus man approaches life with a fundamentally different emotional compass. His inner landscape is steady, deliberate, and grounded, like the earth beneath one's feet after a long storm. He doesn't avoid feelings, but he processes them with patience and logic, preferring to understand them fully before reacting. To him, emotions are not waves that toss you around but currents you learn to navigate calmly. This steadiness creates a sense of safety for the Pisces woman, a harbor she can swim into when her own tides become too strong, a place where her vulnerability can rest without fear of judgment or dismissal. When they come together, something beautiful happens. She brings him closer to his own heart, encouraging him to not only feel but to express those feelings more openly. In her presence, he may find himself speaking about things he rarely shares with anyone else, childhood memories, hidden dreams, quiet fears, because she listens not only with her ears but with her entire being. Her empathy acts like a key to the parts of him that he normally keeps locked away. In return, he offers her something equally precious: the reminder that not every emotional swell requires a dramatic response, that sometimes the most profound act of love is simply holding steady while the storm passes. With him, she learns that stillness can be a gift, that there's comfort in leaning against someone who won't sway under the weight of her feelings. His calm doesn't diminish her intensity, it gives it a frame, turning chaos into something manageable, even beautiful. This dynamic, however, isn't without its challenges. A Taurus man's practical, sometimes stubborn nature can lead him to misunderstand Pisces' emotional depth. He might see her imaginative wanderings and moments of escape as unrealistic or impractical, not realizing that these are essential parts of how she recharges and copes with the world. When her inner tides pull her into daydreams or quiet solitude, he might interpret it as avoidance or lack of direction, when in truth, it's her way of reconnecting with her own inner compass. On the other side, Pisces can misread his measured responses and emotional self-control as indifference. His calm, which to him is a sign of strength, can sometimes feel to her like distance, especially when she's yearning for a more passionate display of reassurance. She might worry that he doesn't feel as deeply as she does, not realizing that his love is expressed in consistency, presence, and the quiet ways he shows up for her day after day. The heart of their emotional success lies in understanding that they speak different emotional languages. She's fluent in metaphor, mood, and in spoken sentiment. He's fluent in clarity, stability, and tangible gestures. Both are equally valid, but without awareness, they can miss each other's meaning. He must learn to read the subtleties in her tone and the pauses between her words. She must learn to see the love in his reliability, even when it's not accompanied by poetic declarations. When they find this balance, their emotional synergy becomes remarkable. The Taurus man begins to soften, letting a little more vulnerability into his steady demeanor, while the Pisces woman gains a greater sense of grounding, finding peace in moments that used to feel uncertain. Together, they create a rhythm that blends her fluidity with his firmness, a give and take that allows each to experience emotional growth. They may have moments of friction, times when she feels adrift and he can't quite see the urgency to drop anchor, or times when he wishes she would let a passing mood slide instead of diving into its depths. But these moments are not roadblocks, they are opportunities to stretch beyond their comfort zones. Every time they choose to bridge the gap between their emotional worlds, they add another layer of trust and intimacy to their relationship. Over time, their bond becomes a living example of how two very different emotional temperaments can coexist not just peacefully but joyfully. His stability doesn't drown her sensitivity. Her emotional depth doesn't destabilize his calm. Instead, they learn to move together, one offering safety, the other offering understanding, in a way that feels less like compromise and more like mutual enrichment. In the language of love, they become translators for one another, and in doing so, they both grow fluent in a dialect that is uniquely theirs. Long-term compatibility. Over the years, the relationship between a Taurus man and a Pisces woman has the potential to evolve into something not only deeply fulfilling but profoundly enduring. It's the kind of bond that doesn't just survive the shifting seasons of life, it becomes richer and more textured with each passing chapter. From the very beginning, Taurus' unwavering loyalty lays down a foundation so solid that Pisces can let her spirit flourish without fear of abandonment. His presence becomes the quiet constant in her life, a steady heartbeat she can always return to, no matter how far her imagination or emotions carry her. This reliability is more than just comforting, it's essential to her well-being. Without it, she might feel adrift, but with him, she knows she has a home not only in the physical sense but in the emotional one as well. In return, the Pisces woman breathes color, magic, and movement into the Taurus man's life. She takes the monochrome blueprint of stability that he naturally carries and paints it with shades of wonder, curiosity, and possibility. Her influence invites him to look beyond the tangible and consider the unseen, the nuances of feeling, the beauty of dreams, and the poetry hidden in everyday life. She doesn't just decorate his world, she expands it, offering perspectives that pull him gently toward growth he might never have pursued alone. In the long run, their contrasting qualities act less like points of friction and more like interlocking pieces of a puzzle. Where Pisces can become lost in indecision, drifting between options without anchoring herself to one, Taurus steps in with his decisive, methodical approach. He doesn't rush her, instead, he patiently guides her toward clarity, helping her transform vague dreams into structured plans. On the other hand, when Taurus' stubborn streak threatens to keep him locked into a single way of thinking, it's Pisces' gentle persuasion that softens his resolve. She's rarely confrontational, instead, she appeals to his empathy, nudging him to see the world through new angles without making him feel like he's losing control. This mutual balancing act is one of the reasons their connection resists stagnation. While Taurus can sometimes fall into comfortable routines that risk becoming stale, Pisces acts as a breath of fresh air, subtly weaving spontaneity into their shared life. She might suggest a last-minute trip, introduce him to a new form of art, or encourage him to take a small risk that awakens a dormant sense of adventure. In turn, Taurus ensures that her dreams are not only inspiring but attainable, grounding her visions in practical steps so they don't dissolve into unfulfilled fantasies. Yet the longevity of their bond isn't automatic. For this relationship to age like fine wine, there must be an ongoing commitment to respecting, and even cherishing, their differences. Taurus must guard against the instinct to fix Pisces when her approach to life seems too whimsical or her emotions seem unpredictable. His intention may come from love, but if he tries to reshape her too rigidly to fit his worldview, he risks dimming the very qualities that drew him to her in the first place. Her fluid, imaginative nature isn't a flaw to be corrected, it's a gift to be protected. Likewise, Pisces must resist the urge to retreat into fantasy when reality becomes heavy. Escapism can offer temporary relief, but over time, too much withdrawal can create emotional distance. She must remember that Taurus thrives on shared presence, on the feeling of tackling life's challenges side by side. When she leans into the strength of his steady nature instead of drifting away from it, she finds that the storms she fears are easier to weather together. When both partners choose to meet each other with patience and curiosity rather than judgment, their relationship becomes a living testament to balance. His earthy stability doesn't suffocate her watery depth. Instead, it contains it in a way that allows her to flow freely without losing herself. Her compassion and adaptability don't erode his firmness, they refine it, making it more flexible without compromising its core. Over decades, their love can mature into something that feels both timeless and fresh. They learn each other's rhythms so intimately that words often become unnecessary. A glance, a touch, or a shared silence can convey more than any conversation. Life's inevitable changes, whether joyful or challenging, become opportunities to strengthen their bond rather than reasons for it to crack. They grow not just alongside each other but because of each other, each year layering new depth onto the foundation they built in the beginning. In the end, long-term compatibility for a Taurus man and a Pisces woman isn't about avoiding challenges. It's about embracing them with the same devotion they bring to the good days. It's about holding steady when one falters, lifting the other when they stumble, and never forgetting that their differences are not obstacles but the very architecture of their love. If they protect that truth, their connection will not only last decades but will become the kind of rare partnership that others look at and quietly think, that's the real thing. Communication conflict resolution. When it comes to communication, the Taurus man and the Pisces woman approach it from almost opposite ends of the spectrum, yet their intentions are rooted in the same desire, to connect and to be understood. The Taurus man values directness. To him, words are tools meant to build clear understanding, not puzzles meant to be deciphered. When he speaks, he chooses language that is straightforward and grounded in fact. He likes to say what he means and believes it's respectful for others to do the same. This isn't because he lacks sensitivity, but because he associates honesty with trustworthiness. In his mind, clarity leaves little room for misunderstanding. The Pisces woman, however, often navigates the realm of words through feeling rather than precision. Her communication style is layered with subtlety, hints, and emotional undertones. She assumes that her partner will just know what she means because she herself often picks up on unspoken signals from others with uncanny accuracy. To her, not everything important can be stated plainly. Some things, she feels, must be felt and sensed rather than laid out in bold terms. Her words sometimes trail off into implication, wrapped in tone, body language, and the quiet hope that he will intuit the meaning behind them. It's here that misunderstandings can creep in. The Taurus man, used to clear and literal exchanges, may feel puzzled, or worse, frustrated, when he senses he's being asked to interpret what's left unsaid. He might perceive her vagueness as avoidance or lack of conviction, when in truth, she is often testing emotional waters before plunging into deeper expression. On the other side, Pisces may feel stung by his bluntness, interpreting his matter-of-fact delivery as cold or overly critical. What he considers efficiency, she may hear as a lack of gentleness or nuance. For these two, learning to bridge this gap in styles is not just helpful, it's essential for harmony. The Pisces woman must practice bringing more clarity into her speech, especially when the matter at hand is important. This doesn't mean abandoning her natural sensitivity, but rather pairing it with enough directness that her intentions cannot be easily misconstrued. The Taurus man, meanwhile, must stretch beyond his comfort zone and learn to read the emotional subtext in her tone, her pauses, and the emotions flickering behind her eyes. He must understand that for her, the meaning often lives between the lines, in the sigh that accompanies a sentence, in the shift of her posture, in the quiet things she doesn't quite say out loud. When conflict arises, their contrasting tendencies become even more pronounced. The Taurus man's instinct is to address the problem head-on. He doesn't enjoy arguments, but once an issue is on the table, he believes in resolving it decisively. He stands his ground firmly, often unwilling to back down until the matter is concluded to his sense of fairness. The Pisces woman, on the other hand, would rather sidestep open confrontation. Her natural empathy and aversion to harsh exchanges make her inclined to withdraw, hoping that the tension will dissipate on its own or that time will soften the disagreement. This difference can cause temporary imbalances. He may interpret her retreat as emotional distance or, worse, as a sign that she doesn't care enough to fight for the relationship. She may view his persistence as stubbornness or pressure, feeling cornered rather than understood. If left unaddressed, this push and pull can create resentment on both sides, he resenting her for not engaging, she resenting him for not allowing breathing room. The healthiest resolution for them lies in a middle ground shaped by patience and empathy. Often, a cooling-off period serves them well. This allows Taurus to temper his determination with a bit of softness, and it gives Pisces the space she needs to gather her thoughts without feeling attacked. Once emotions have settled, a gentle, face-to-face conversation can turn what could have been a battle into an opportunity for deeper understanding. In these calmer moments, Taurus' steadiness becomes an asset. He can reassure her with his unwavering commitment, letting her know that the purpose of the discussion is to strengthen their bond, not to tear it down. Pisces' empathy then steps in as a balm, softening any lingering tension and allowing both partners to express themselves without fear. She can validate his concerns while still communicating her own needs for sensitivity and emotional consideration. Over time, they can develop a communication rhythm that blends his clarity with her emotional depth. He learns that sometimes the best way to be understood is not just to state the facts but to also express the feelings behind them. She learns that even the most delicate emotions can benefit from a touch of directness. In conflict, they discover that resolution doesn't always mean one person yielding to the other. Sometimes it means finding a solution that honors both their truths equally. When they commit to this process, misunderstandings that once seemed like brick walls begin to feel more like doors that, once opened, reveal more of each other's inner worlds. Communication becomes not just a tool for problem solving but a bridge to greater intimacy. And in the delicate dance between the Taurus man's grounded truth and the Pisces woman's emotional nuance, they find a shared language that is uniquely theirs, one built not only from words but from trust, patience, and the ongoing willingness to listen with both the mind and the heart. Physical intimate connection. The physical connection between a Taurus man and a Pisces woman is rarely a matter of quick sparks or fleeting infatuation. Instead, it builds like a slow-burning fire that radiates warmth long after the first touch. It's not the kind of chemistry that blindsides them with wild, chaotic energy, but rather one that draws them in with a quiet certainty, whispering that this closeness is meant to be savored rather than rushed. From the start, there's a sense that they are discovering something sacred together, a shared space where the physical and emotional merge until they are inseparable. Taurus, ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and pleasure, carries an innate appreciation for the sensual world. He is attuned to touch, scent, and the subtle textures of closeness. For him, intimacy is an art form built on presence. When he holds her, he's not thinking about the next moment. He's deeply immersed in this one, in the way her skin feels under his fingertips, in the rhythm of her breath against his chest, in the quiet sigh that escapes her lips when she feels safe. Every caress is deliberate, every kiss is measured, because he understands that the most profound physical connections are as much about the mind and heart as they are about the body. Pisces brings a different but equally profound energy to their intimate life. Her approach is fluid, creative, and deeply emotional. To her, physical closeness is not merely a form of pleasure. It's a language, a way of expressing the feelings that sometimes live beyond the reach of words. When she touches him, it is never mechanical or routine. There's always a note of tenderness, a sense of exploration, as though she's tracing the contours of not just his body but his spirit. She infuses their moments together with emotional depth, making intimacy feel like a spiritual experience that transcends the physical realm. When these two energies combine, his grounded sensuality and her emotional openness, they create a space that is both passionate and serene. Taurus offers consistency, patience, and a willingness to truly understand what pleases his partner. He doesn't rush the process. Instead, he enjoys drawing it out, learning her responses, and giving her the time to fully open up. Pisces meets this steady approach with her own brand of generosity, a willingness to be emotionally vulnerable, to share her inner world through touch, and to invite him into experiences that feel both erotic and soulful. In the bedroom, their rhythm is unhurried and deliberate, but that doesn't mean it lacks intensity. In fact, their connection deepens precisely because they resist the urge to treat intimacy as a checklist or a performance. Taurus finds fulfillment in creating an environment where she feels cherished and desired, while Pisces finds joy in giving herself fully to the moment, trusting his steady hands and grounded energy to guide them both. This mutual attentiveness turns even the simplest acts, a lingering kiss, a hand intertwined with another, into moments that feel unforgettable. Their physical bond also becomes a powerful extension of their emotional relationship. For Taurus, touch is a way to reassure her of his loyalty and devotion. For Pisces, it's a way to dissolve the boundaries between them until they feel like one entity moving in harmony. Over time, their intimate life becomes a sanctuary where they can return to each other after the stresses of the outside world, a place where everything else fades into the background and only their connection remains. They may discover that they are able to communicate most openly in these moments of closeness. For Taurus, physical intimacy often becomes a gateway to deeper emotional expression. He may reveal more in the quiet afterglow than he would in conversation. For Pisces, it's a way of feeling truly seen and accepted without having to explain herself. Their bodies, in this way, become translators for their hearts. The sensuality Taurus brings ensures that their physical connection never becomes careless or taken for granted. He thrives on routine in many areas of life, but in intimacy, he treats each encounter as a new opportunity to rediscover her. Pisces, with her adaptability and imagination, ensures that there's always an element of surprise, a gentle shift in touch, a new layer of emotional openness, a moment of shared vulnerability that brings them even closer. In the long term, this combination of earthy stability and watery emotion keeps their physical bond not just alive but thriving. It isn't dependent on constant novelty or high drama. Instead, it is nourished by the slow accumulation of trust, the deepening of mutual understanding, and the shared recognition that their connection is rare. For both Taurus and Pisces, physical intimacy becomes more than an act. It becomes a ritual, a quiet but powerful reaffirmation of their love, their loyalty, and their shared journey through life. Shared values, life goals. At their core, Taurus and Pisces are united by an unshakable reverence for love, loyalty, and emotional safety, values that form the heartbeat of their connection. To both of them, love isn't something casual or disposable. It is the very foundation upon which life is built. They each see relationships as sacred spaces, meant to be nurtured, protected, and cherished. This mutual commitment to loyalty means that both will fight to preserve the bond they've created, seeing it as something worth investing in for the long haul. Emotional safety, too, is a shared priority. For Taurus, this safety comes from knowing his partner is steadfast and dependable. For Pisces, it's about feeling free to express her truest self without fear of judgment. Together, they create an atmosphere where both feel not only accepted but truly valued for who they are. Yet, even with these shared values, their visions for how to live out those ideals bring unique flavors to the table. The Taurus man often places a strong emphasis on financial stability and the creation of a secure, comfortable home. To him, stability is not just about the present moment, it's about building a future that can weather life's storms. He wants to know that there is always a warm place to come back to, both physically and emotionally. Pisces, on the other hand, dreams of a life that overflows with beauty, art, and compassion. While Taurus might think in terms of budgets and blueprints, she thinks in terms of colors, feelings, and the legacy of kindness she leaves behind. These priorities are not in conflict. In fact, they can merge in a way that creates an extraordinary balance. Taurus offers the grounded structure and practical foresight needed to make Pisces' dreams sustainable. He knows how to take an abstract vision and break it down into tangible steps. He might help her turn a desire to open an art studio into a realistic plan, or transform her vision of a community garden into something that thrives year after year. Without him, some of her ideas might float away, untethered. With him, they are given the roots they need to grow. In return, Pisces infuses Taurus' world with creativity, softness, and the courage to step outside the boundaries he sometimes unconsciously draws for himself. She encourages him to take emotional risks, to travel somewhere unexpected, to invest time in a passion project, to write the book he's only ever thought about. She teaches him that not all investments are financial, and that some of the most rewarding returns come from experiences that can't be measured in numbers. By doing so, she broadens his definition of success, showing him that a fulfilling life is as much about joy and meaning as it is about security. When they approach life goals together, the interplay between his practicality and her imagination becomes their greatest asset. Taurus ensures their shared ambitions are grounded in reality. Pisces ensures they are rich in inspiration. A dream they share, whether it's building a home, starting a family, or creating a shared business, benefits from both perspectives. He builds the sturdy walls, she opens the windows to let the light in. Still, differences in pace and ambition can create moments of tension. Taurus moves toward goals with steady, deliberate steps, preferring to fully master one phase before beginning another. This patience can frustrate Pisces when her imagination is already 3 ideas ahead, pulling her toward new dreams before the current one has been realized. Conversely, her fluid approach can unsettle Taurus, who might feel that changing direction midstream is a recipe for instability. The key to their long-term success lies in aligning these rhythms without forcing them into perfect uniformity. Pisces needs the freedom to explore new visions and follow bursts of inspiration, while Taurus needs the assurance that their shared plans won't lose momentum or dissolve into unfinished projects. When they honor these needs, when he loosens his grip enough to let her wander, and she returns often enough to keep pace with his steady progress, they create a dynamic that is both flexible and dependable. Over time, this alignment allows them to build a life that is a seamless blend of practicality and magic. Their shared home might be both beautifully decorated and financially secure. Their adventures might be both spontaneous and carefully prepared. They find ways to weave her dreams into his plans so that neither feels they've compromised too much of who they are. And in the process, they discover that their shared values don't just complement each other, they amplify each other, creating a partnership that is as deeply fulfilling as it is resilient. Final thoughts. The love story between a Taurus man and a Pisces woman unfolds like a masterpiece that a patient artist spends years perfecting. It has the vivid colors of passion and the soft, muted tones of tenderness, all anchored on a strong, unshakable canvas of mutual respect and devotion. There is nothing flimsy or fleeting about this connection. It is built to last, layered with brush strokes of trust, loyalty, and shared dreams. Each moment together adds depth to the portrait, giving it dimension and warmth. The longer they are together, the more their relationship becomes less like an impulsive sketch and more like a timeless painting, one that can be admired and cherished for a lifetime. For Pisces, the Taurus man offers the grounding she so often needs to transform her dreams into something tangible. Her imagination can sometimes feel like a vast ocean without a shore, but Taurus provides that shoreline, a place where her visions can rest, take shape, and become part of the real world. He encourages her to see that stability is not a limitation but a foundation, one that allows her to build castles in the air with the confidence that they won't collapse. His presence in her life is like gravity, keeping her from floating away into a haze of some days, and helping her anchor her artistry and compassion in ways that make a lasting impact. For Taurus, Pisces brings something equally transformative, a sense of wonder that turns his well-ordered life into an adventure. Without her, he might settle too comfortably into routines, content with the predictable and the familiar. But she invites him to step outside his patterns, to see magic in the mundane, to find beauty in the unexpected. She can turn a walk in the park into a poetic memory, or a quiet evening into a moment that feels transcendent. Her way of moving through the world, intuitive, gentle, and endlessly imaginative, reminds him that life is not only about building and preserving but also about experiencing and feeling. Of course, even the most harmonious paintings have their shadows, and this love story is no different. There are challenges, as there are in any relationship. Taurus can sometimes be too stubborn, clinging to his point of view long after the discussion has moved on. His need for certainty can make him resist changes that Pisces might embrace without hesitation. Pisces, in turn, can sometimes retreat too far into her inner world, using fantasy as a refuge from reality when life feels overwhelming. Her escape may give her temporary peace but can leave Taurus feeling shut out or disconnected. Yet here lies one of the most remarkable strengths of this pairing: their differences, when approached with patience, empathy, and mutual respect, become their greatest sources of growth. His steadfastness can gently guide her back when she drifts too far, not with force but with quiet reassurance. Her fluidity can soften his rigidity, helping him see that flexibility is not weakness but wisdom. In this way, they teach each other to balance the seen and the unseen, the concrete and the ethereal. In astrology, there are certain pairings that feel less like chance and more like destiny, and Taurus Pisces is one of them. It's as if their meeting is a reunion of two souls who have known each other long before this lifetime, a reconnection that feels both inevitable and extraordinary. Together, they create a partnership where love is not only safe but also alive with magic, where each day offers both comfort and discovery. They don't just build a life, they build a shared world that reflects both their strengths, his unwavering loyalty and her boundless compassion. Once such a bond is found, it is not something to be taken lightly. It's the kind of love that deserves to be protected, nurtured, and celebrated, even in the smallest moments. Whether they are navigating life's grand milestones or simply sharing coffee on a quiet morning, there's a sense that they are exactly where they are meant to be, two distinct souls moving in harmony, making each other's worlds fuller and richer. And in the quiet truth of their connection lies a promise that this love, once chosen, is worth holding on to for as long as life will allow.